All right, let's turn our attention to the Southeastern Conference. Let's start with Alabama. The Alabama Crimson Tide have, I think, a pretty interesting quarterback battle. One that even might have differing opinions here. So you've got the guy who's been around since Dagum before Jalen Milroe was even named the starter, right? The Ty Simpson and former 5-star prospect, this, that, or the other, and he's still there. You've got Austin Mack, who Kalen DeBoer recruited to Washington. He followed DeBoer. And also, don't forget, new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, or returned offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, also a part of that recruitment as well. You also have a very, very promising freshman in Keon Russell. Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keon Russell. What do we think happens with the Crimson Tide?
This is one that I think a lot of people thought it would be Simpson, right?
Yeah.
And now there's some positive reports about Mack, and I really don't think we can write off Russell. So, I mean, this is maybe legitimately a three-way battle.
I think so. I think Simpson, I think there's got to be some, like, we talk about practice versus performance and like all the different ways and the things that we try to do to read into what coaches are telling us, what beat writers are telling us. Ty Simpson cannot be this much of a quarterback battle in this many spring practices and be bad. Right?
I like that logic there.
Like, I can't believe that all of these years against all of these different starting quarterback competitors, at this time of year, you are hearing people, which means a couple of things. Like, my spidey senses would say, number one, there is promise there that coaches or people around the program are just trying to like will or speak into existence or squeeze that olive. Like, we know we just need him to flip a switch. We just need him to take that extra step. But then the fact that he's not showing up on the field in a Crimson Tide uniform as QB1 year after year after year, why does that not happen? So can it be this spring? And if not, then I think we start to get into that conversation with an Austin Mack, Keon Russell type situation.
I don't know who wins this job. I don't think it'll be Ty Simpson, though. I think if you just look at the way things tend to work throughout history, Ty Simpson's been there a long time. Ty Simpson did not come to Alabama under this current staff. Kalen DeBoer took over the job last year. Austin Mack followed him from Washington. There's a reason he wanted him to come with. He clearly likes him. They get Russell as a recruit. These are two of their choices to be running their offense. Not saying Ty Simpson doesn't have a chance. I would just be very surprised if he wins this job.
So, I mean, whoever gets this job is going to have a hell of a receiving core to throw to.
Yes.
Like, other than Ohio State, who would you rather have receiver-wise than this team? Because you get Bernard in the slot. They went out and got Horton from Miami to go be their big body outside guy. It lets Williams continue to be your move guy, and they can set him up for favorable matchups, which DeBoer does really well.
Right.
I mean, tight end, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in their tight ends yet, but I do think that it kind of leans more towards the thrower. But all three of these guys can throw pretty well, so maybe there's no actual like edge to be gained as far as intel there as far as throwing. But I think the passing offense is going to be back in a major way in Alabama. It reminds me of what he had at Washington.
I'm just going to play the odds based on history and say I'd rather have LSU's wide receiver core. I don't even know who it is.
All right, off the top of my head, I went to
seeing
Auburn.
Those contracts that have been signed the last few months. Give me LSU's receivers.
I was going to say Auburn and Clemson just to like participate in the conversation, but I get where you're going, Bud, on that.
With Ty Simpson, it could be a case, and I think this is kind of what you're alluding to, Chip. Like, I think he probably works really hard. I think he's a great teammate. Probably practices awesome, or else he wouldn't be in all these. But you want it to wait. You want to see it when the lights are on. And when full contact drills, whatever it is, when you get your opportunity, you want to see it. And it just feels like, because he's had a couple opportunities, hasn't really stepped up and really taken hold of it. So, I don't know. The Austin Mack thing I think is really interesting. That guy's a specimen.
Mm-hmm.
He's long. He's got a cannon. Starting to see him flash more in practice. And I also wonder if he's somebody reunited with Ryan Grubb, if that's one thing that helps him kind of, the familiarity that he's got with his old, offense coordinator all the way back at Washington. Now they're reunited. If that relationship could be a positive factor for him.
Zach in the tailgate saying Ty Simpson looking like a Ty Thompson, always in the battle, but, just can never quite never quite punch your way through.
Maybe Ty's a name we have to add to the list.
No ties and no
Although,
Georges.
Ties.
TAI, you're still open. I'll still give you a chance, but TY I think is proven to be a bust.
No, TAI as a pass catcher is a
Ty
proof.
Streets is great. Yeah, but
Ty
I'm just saying,
Detmer.
Ty
Ty
Detmer.
Detmer.
Oh man, you're right. But it's been
But he didn't pan out in the NFL.
that's a 1980. It's
Feeling.
been 30 years since we had a Ty. I think that history has shown Ty is washed up.
Hey, I ain't naming my boy Ty. I'm naming him Winner. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So what about Russell? What's the chance? Like, what are the chances Russell crashes through this door and ends up winning the job? Because if Russell grabs hold of this thing in the spring, one of these two guys is hitting the portal, and then all of a sudden now we're starting to look at some dominoes. Like, we might be looking at an Alabama quarterback hitting the portal anyway, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, there's no way Bama keeps all three of these guys on the roster.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, that would be wild to me. I don't think Russell can win the job in spring. I think he would need to continue to play well in the fall. I mean, it's not impossible, certainly, but I will say, like, if you guys watched the All-American game that Russell got like destroyed in, that was the first year that they have the juniors and seniors mixed, and like the kid who was trying to block for him just was not ready to play in that type of format. Like, I do think sacks are a quarterback stat within reason, but like the absolute offensive lineman doesn't touch anybody type sacks are kind of more offensive lineman to me. You know, like a free runner when it's supposed to be accounted for is kind of not on you as the QB. I'm sure I see Danny Nod there. Good athlete, but man, he really throws the ball exceptionally well. And like competitive kid. I loved what I saw of him, and he's just a really, really talented player.
Anecdotally, the best way immediately to decide if it's on the offensive line or the quarterback is if the quarterback is screaming at somebody when he's being picked up, it was on the offensive line.
Since you were talking about all-star games, I played in the Florida-Georgia all-star game, and so some of those offensive linemen are just not ready. The defensive linemen, especially in coming out of high school, like senior years, are way ahead of the game. I was getting killed. I was supposed to be like, big time recruit for Florida State. It was awful. The other quarterback on Florida's team was Tommy Frazier. I was like, why don't we just let him out there? Because the coach is like, we need to get you some more reps. Don't you want to get back in there? I'm like, no. He's doing just great.
he's built for playing behind this line. I am not.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh God.
Let's look at the Danny Kanell, Tommy Frazier sack avoidance PFF. Somebody take that.
That might be the biggest disparity that you've ever put next to each other.